Your birthday is a total lie. And if you're part of Gen X, you finally realize the terrifying truth that everyone else is too scared to admit. While millennials are busy renting out entire venues for birthday months, and Gen Z is filming every single gift unboxing for a fleeting moment of social media clout, there is a massive group of people quietly opting out of the madness entirely. They aren't just being humble or low-key. They are participating in a silent psychological rebellion that is reshaping how we view aging, worth, and personal identity in the modern world. But wait, because the real reason behind this sudden shift isn't just about getting older or being too busy to celebrate. There is a deeply disturbing psychological trigger buried in the Gen X childhood that explains everything, and I'm revealing that specific hidden trauma later in this video. Think about the last time you saw a Gen X friend actually make a big deal about their birthday without feeling a massive sense of internal cringe or guilt. It almost never happens because this generation was built differently, forged in the fires of independence and a level of neglect that would make modern parents lose their minds completely. They grew up as the original latchkey kids, coming home to empty houses and figuring out how to survive on their own before they even reached middle school. This independence didn't just make them tough, it fundamentally rewired their brains to believe that personal milestones are just another day on the calendar that requires work rather than celebration. They don't want the spotlight, because for most of their lives, the spotlight was something they had to avoid just to get things done without interference from anyone else. When you look at the personality analysis of this specific demographic, you start to see a pattern of extreme pragmatism that borders on the cynical. For a Gen X individual, the idea of a birthday often feels like a forced performance where they have to act grateful for attention they never asked for in the first place. They see through the commercialism of the Hallmark holidays and the fake enthusiasm of social media birthday posts that feel more like obligations than genuine connections. To them, a birthday is just a reminder of the passage of time and the increasing responsibilities that come with it, rather than a reason to stop and eat cake. They would much rather spend the day in total silence, finishing a project or finally relaxing, than endure the exhaustion of being the center of attention for 24 hours straight. There is a high-energy defiance in this choice to treat a birthday like a normal Tuesday, and it's actually a brilliant psychological survival mechanism for the modern era. While the rest of the world is chasing dopamine hits through likes and comments on their special day, Gen X is finding power in being unreachable and unbothered by the noise. They have mastered the art of the anti-celebration, which is essentially a middle finger to the societal expectation that we must always be performing our happiness for others. This isn't about being depressed or hating life. It's about reclaiming their time and energy from a world that constantly tries to steal it. They understand that their worth isn't tied to how many people wish them a happy birthday on a digital wall, but rather the real-world impact they make every single day. Let's talk about the invisible generation phenomenon because it plays a massive role in why these individuals are ghosting their own birthday parties lately. Gen X has always been sandwiched between the massive boomer population and the loud, tech-savvy millennials, often feeling like the middle child who gets overlooked during family dinner. After decades of being the demographic that advertisers and politicians ignored, they simply stopped expecting the world to throw them a parade for existing. This has created a personality type that finds massive satisfaction in self-reliance and internal validation rather than external applause or expensive gifts. When you've spent your entire life being the one who holds everything together while everyone else gets the credit, a birthday party starts to feel like a distraction from the real work that actually matters to your family and career. But don't mistake this lack of celebration for a lack of passion or excitement for life itself, because that couldn't be further from the actual truth. Gen Xers are often the most energized people in the room when it comes to their hobbies, their vintage collections, or their specific niche interests that they pursue with intense focus. They just don't see the connection between their age and their value, which makes the traditional birthday ritual feel incredibly outdated and even a little bit insulting.
Why celebrate a number when you could be celebrating a breakthrough in your career or a personal goal you've been chasing for years? By treating their birthday like a normal day, they are staying in the zone and refusing to let a calendar date dictate their emotional state or their level of productivity for the week. Now, we have to address the social media factor because it has absolutely weaponized the concept of birthdays in a way that Gen X finds totally repulsive. We live in an age where if you didn't post a photo of your birthday dinner, it basically didn't happen, and that kind of performative living is exhausting. For someone who remembers a world before the internet, the idea of manufacturing joy for a digital audience feels fake and incredibly hollow. They remember when birthdays were about a simple phone call from a friend or a small dinner with people who actually knew your middle name. Now that it's become a global broadcast event, they are choosing to opt out entirely as a way to protect their sanity and maintain a sense of genuine privacy in an overexposed world.
This brings us back to that shocking secret I mentioned earlier regarding the specific childhood trigger that makes Gen X avoid the birthday spotlight so aggressively. Researchers have pointed to a concept called parentified childhood, where many Gen X kids had to take on adult roles far too early in their lives. When you're 10 years old and you're responsible for making dinner or watching your siblings, your own childhood needs, like a birthday party, get pushed to the bottom of the list. You learn very quickly that the world doesn't stop just because it's your special day, and that lesson becomes hardwired into your adult personality. You stop expecting the world to celebrate you because you've been the one doing the celebrating and the caretaking for everyone else since you're in elementary school. It is a profound and somewhat tragic realization that the cool, low-maintenance attitude towards birthdays is actually a scar from a time when they had no choice but to be low-maintenance. This is why a Gen X person might feel actual physical discomfort when someone tries to throw them a surprise party or makes a huge scene in a restaurant. It triggers that old feeling of being a burden or taking up too much space in a household where resources and attention were already stretched thin. By keeping their birthday normal, they're staying safe within their comfort zone of self-sufficiency, where they don't have to rely on anyone else to make them feel special or valued. It's a defense mechanism that has evolved into a lifestyle choice that they now wear like a badge of honor. Ultimately, this generation is teaching us all a valuable lesson about what it really means to grow up and find true happiness within ourselves. We spend so much of our lives waiting for someone else to give us permission to feel special, but Gen X has figured out that the permission only comes from within. If you found this analysis of the Gen X psyche eye-opening, then you're definitely one of the few who actually wants to understand the deep psychological drivers of human behavior. Don't let the algorithms dictate who you are or how you should feel about your own milestones in this fast-paced, chaotic world. To join the elite group of thinkers who refuse to be brainwashed by social expectations, you know exactly which button to click on this channel. Stay curious, stay independent.